Welcome back, travelers, to another Viking Tales. Today we're going to be talking about the one and only Baldur. Skål!
Skål!
You will know me as Skull the Norn.
We are joined here today by Mr. Andrew Valkauskas.
And I am here with Ken Say, and we are ready to give you the lowdown on the goody god.
Technically, but I mean, in God of War he's really pretty badass, but in here, we'll talk about that. Tell me a little bit about
All right, so let's start with the genealogy, right? Mm-hmm. So his father is Odin, yes. His mother's Frigga.
Wait, Frigga?
Frigga.
Not Freya?
No, not Freya. And don't start conflating the two, because they're not even close.
They're not the same people?
No, not even close.
Not even a different name?
No.
Oh, okay, cool.
Odin and Frigga produce Baldur.
Yes.
Odin has another son named Hod, who's going to appear later in the story. Yes. We don't know who the mother is. Could have been Frigga, but maybe it's a half-brother. But they're definitely related.
They're
There's
definitely
two of them.
At least brothers.
Yeah.
We're not guaranteed that they're full, but they're at least some kind of brother, yes.
Exactly.
Hod's important in this story. We'll talk about that afterwards as well.
And we know that Baldur has a wife named Nanna.
Nanna.
And they have a child named Forseti. And funny thing, if you've seen like my spellings, sometimes there's a typo, Foresti. I always, it's a dyslexic moment with Forseti. But I'm getting it. I'm getting it. It's taken years, but I'm getting it. Now we've gone over his genealogy. Like, where does he live? What does he do?
So basically, he stays in Breivik, which is a realm or hall where there's no bloodshed. So basically, he's really that pacifist kind of guy. He's not really into like fighting. He doesn't want any bloodshed. So that's where he stays. But unlike in the God of Wars, where he's just trying to beat Kratos up like crazy, he is basically invulnerable in there. And he does have one weakness, which is in a mistletoe, which is very accurate, which is very, very accurate.
Mistletoe? That's a strange weakness.
Well, we'll talk about that in a second. Let me just explain to you guys, in God of War, essentially what the storyline was. Freya, found out that Baldur was going to die soon, which is very similar to in the real lore. And in the video game, what she actually did was cast a rune of protection. A rune of protection on it, so that way that he can't get killed. But
it's not the real story.
No, it's not. And also, he can't feel any pain or feel any kind of feeling. So, the actual real story... So, Baldur had a bad dream, right? And he had a bad dream that he was going to get killed. And he goes, Mommy! Mom!
Oh, no.
Mama! I don't want to die! Mama! So, Odin actually wanted to confirm it. So, he went to Niflheim. And he saw that Hel was already throwing a welcome party. As, to confirm that Baldur...
She was rolling out the red carpet?
Yeah, why would she be so excited to see Baldur?
I think she might be sweet on him.
Maybe
they had a little budding romance.
Maybe a little love interest right there. Mm-hmm. But anyway, we digress. To the point where my bad. God of War got me mixed up. Frigga actually went to every single, living being and also non-living being.
Yeah.
Any entity, I guess.
Yeah, because she asked stone.
Yeah.
She asked wood. She asked water. She asked steel. Yeah, not to harm her son.
Except she was passing by. She saw mistletoe. And she's like, mistletoe can't do any harm to my son. I'm not even going to bother.
Yeah, she didn't ask mistletoe, and that was a fatal mistake. But here's a twist. And I'm going to pull this book out. A lot of people know the Baldur stories from the Eddas, possibly some of the sagas. But the Gesta Danorum actually shed some really interesting light. And this is something that I was reading in research for my Illuminated Edda. And it brought in some very, very interesting stories and a new twist on Baldur. So the twist on Baldur is he got sweet on this mortal woman named Nanna, who was bathing in a lake, and he just was smitten by her and decided to force himself upon her. And
Isn't
she
it his
didn't.
Wife, though?
Well, eventually. Eventually. But this is before that. And he wanted to have her hand in marriage. She was miserable. She went to see her father, a king. He was like, no way, my daughter's not interested. And a champion rose up from the divine ranks to stand in opposition to Baldur, and his name was Hod.
But Hod is also his brother, is he not?
Yes, half-brother or brother.
Interesting.
So Hod decides, you know what? No. No means no. Consent, You can't force yourself, even though you're a god, onto a mortal woman who's just not interested in you. And so the two of them go into a series of battles. Some of them Hod wins, some of them Baldur wins. In the end, Hod is defeated, and we assume blinded by Baldur's final attack, because he is the blind god, right? And then we don't hear about Hod until this final scene, which leads up to Ragnarok, where Loki hatches a plan to kill Baldur using mistletoe.
Yeah. So essentially what was happening at that point was that Baldur was cocky. And he was like, yeah, I can't be hurt. My mama protected me. My mama like, yeah, unlike the video game where he's like, I am trying to feel pain. Hurt me, please. Mom, take off the pain. And mom is like, no. But him, he's like, look at me. I can't get hurt. Oh, rock, steel, I can't get hurt.
And they're in a mead hall, and all the other gods are throwing stuff at Baldur as a game because they know he can't be hurt. And Hod is waiting there, obviously, maybe to get his revenge from the story here.
We're not confirming it, but we're assuming that's what's happening.
And Loki says, hey, let me point you in the right direction. Take this mistletoe spear and just launch it at Baldur.
Like, yeah, Baldur. Can we throw this at you? Yeah, of course. What's the worst that can happen?
Yeah, the worst is Baldur dies. He gets killed.
Real good.
And
real bad,
that's when exit left for both Hod and Loki. And the Aesir just lose it at this point. The gods go absolutely crazy about this. So they sent a hunting party to go hunt Loki down. Hod is a whole different animal to begin with. And prophecy told Odin that he would get revenge for Baldur's murderer, who's Hod, by siring a magical assassin.
But that's for another time. That story is definitely for another time.
Oh,
right?
but that's a crazy story.
I know it's but definitely a lot more for Odin, right? This like a whole rabbit hole filled of other rabbit holes with Odin.
And this is in here as well. And this is small teaser. Odin is cast out of Asgard for a little while.
Exactly. Well, that's for another story. That's a pretty insane story.
So if you guys want to hear part 2 of Odin, let us know below.
Let us know comment.
So okay, so while Odin's off trying to get an assassin sired and everyone's hunting Loki, they go and talk to Hel, the rest of the gods. And at this point, Hel's like, no. I got the welcoming party. He's here. We're having a great time. I'm not letting him go.
I feel like he doesn't want to leave either. Let's be honest. He's like, I'm having a great time here with Hel.
No, I bet they are.
I bet they are.
And so, after repeated attempts by the Aesir gods for him to be released from Niflheim, she says, okay, I'll release him so long as everything in the universe weeps for him. So, challenge accepted. The Aesir run off and start asking everything to weep for him. And they succeed with 99.99999% of them.
Just one.
There's one giantess that refuses to shed a tear for him.
Do we know who it is?
I don't know. Do we know anyone that shape changes?
Could it be possibly the person who may have maybe led to the death of this Baldur person?
Could be. Maybe Loki? But there are also theories, maybe Angrboda, because you realize how much bad stuff was done to Loki's children with Angrboda.
Exactly.
But that's in the Loki video.
Yeah, definitely. Check that out. So is that the last that we see of them? I feel like, since Baldur is basically dead as well as Hod, do we not see them ever again? Is that the end of the story? So
we don't hear from them all the way through and during Ragnarok until actually Surt immolates the world tree, everything burns to the ground, Niflheim's gates are burst asunder, and Hod and Baldur come out after Ragnarok alive and well.
That must have been a pretty crazy story where they're both in hell, Niflheim, not hell. In Niflheim, you're like, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? I'm dead. Well, yeah, you killed me.
That's going to be awkward.
It might be
for really a little while.
And then you have Hel there be like, stop talking to him, okay? It's my lover. Don't talk to my lover like that, okay?
It's an interesting ending. You can picture the cue the music, and they got the slow motion walking out of hell with everything burning in the background.
Fist bumping, just like.
And that's Baldur in a nutshell.
Not really the craziest story, but definitely something we wanted to talk about since he is the main protagonist or antagonist. Sorry, the main antagonist of the God of War video game. So it's really very, 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 very. I said very. Very, very interesting for us to talk about basically the differences, which is kind of huge.
And if there's any other gods, giants, heroes, villains you guys want us to demystify, go down the rabbit hole, and give you guys a cool video about, let us know in the comments below.
We'll definitely tackle it. All right, that's it for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you want to keep updated by all our future videos.
And all our Patreon backers get all of this content early.
All right, skål.
Skål.
Safe
travels.
travels.